Hey guys, I'm Alexander Rader. Welcome to my channel, and we are reacting to Disclosure Day, the final trailer. I can't tell you how excited I am to watch this film. It's been far too long. I've been waiting for so long for the master, Mr. Steven Spielberg, to get back behind the camera and direct a alien invasion film. My favorite film, I should say my most inspired film, is Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and I cannot begin to describe how that film has made such an impact on me, starting from my childhood up and even till now to this day. It's my most inspired film. It's the reason why I got behind the camera myself and became a director, a filmmaker. And when he announced that this film was being made, that was it was in pre-production, I was so giddy. After the trailer, I'm gonna get into a little bit on how I came across watching Close Encounters of the Third Kind for the first time. Believe it or not, it was because I was looking through a box of porn. This was like the late 80s, early 90s. I was just a kid. I was just a kid. And that's how I found Close Encounters. But yeah, we're going to watch this film, watch this trailer, I should say, and give a little reaction to it. And I'm just so excited to get into the cinema and watch this, experience this. Without further ado, I got my Dr. Pepper cream soda, and let's watch this.
I can see them. I am much more inclined now than I was when I made Close Encounters to really believe that we're not the only intelligent civilization in the universe.
That shot. That shot.
What did you steal?
Secrets. People have a right to know the truth.
This is a story about us.
I love the crop circles.
All of us.
Good morning, Kansas City.
Up against the most extraordinary event in human history.
What's happening to me? I'm frightened. I'm frightened out of my wits.
You don't need to be. You have someone else.
Daniel Kellner.
Who is this?
Do not go back to the house. They found you. I don't know who you are, but they're gonna kill you.
The human race cannot accept what we know. We need to stop it any way we can.
What am I doing? What am I doing? What am I doing? What am I doing?
Close Encounters house.
This 79-year cover-up of the truth has to end.
We're interrupting our coverage.
How will disclosure change us? I believe for the better. It will remind us of our capacity for empathy, and that there is something bigger out there than just ourselves.
Can't wait.
The only way to know your purpose is to go back to where it all began.
I know you.
I know you do. What happened to us?
They're showing it.
I used to say to myself, wouldn't it be wonderful if all of this turned out to be true?
Nice.
I'm now thinking, wouldn't it be wonderful for people to know
They're coming.
all of this is true?
Sir. Holy.
Disclosure Day.
I got goosebumps. Yes, sir, David Kep. Oh, that is awesome. That is awesome. They showed the alien at the end. Holy crap. I didn't expect that. That was really cool. Oh, man. Classic Spielberg, man. Classic Spielberg. That was amazing. Really, really solid final trailer. And to cut Steven in during that, very appropriate. So cool. I didn't expect that. I didn't expect him actually to be in the trailer. Going back to it, I'll get into why I probably know this or why I know this, but I don't recognize where he's being interviewed at. Um, Again, I'll get to this a little later, but usually he's either interviewed in the Amblin Theater or in the game room. I don't recognize this spot at all. I can guess probably where it is, but I'm not going to. But so cool to see the boss in the trailer, in the final trailer for his movie. That's so cool. Goosebumps. I got the same reaction when I saw the final Ready Player One trailer, which is, I don't know if you guys have seen it. I'll put the link down below. One of the best trailers I've ever seen, with the original Willy Wonka song in it. So cool, so cool. But yeah, this trailer just as good. Wow, I'm excited. I'm excited. And speaking of music, I cannot wait for that album to drop. As soon as that pre-order is ready, I'm buying it. This is going to be the 30th collaboration between Steven and John Williams. So I cannot wait for that. I cannot wait for that album to drop. It's going to be amazing. From what I heard, it's amazing. You know, it's interesting. Steven loves nostalgia, and as he's said in many interviews, and he rarely does homages to his old films, but we definitely see Close Encounters in there with the house. And also, I think it's the extended trailer that has a shot where an SUV is pushing Emily Blunt's car into the train tracks. And that's from Duel. I wish I had the words. So excited for this. I know there's a lot of UFOologists that are kind of upset about the crop circles, that they've been debunked. Nah. I think this is highly appropriate. So cool. Again, just adds to the goosebump factor as the grass is slowly being flattened around this guy.
This is a story about us.
It reminds me of Signs. Really cool. Really glad he did this. Janusz Kaminski, who's Steven's cinematographer since Schindler's List, has done it again. Looks beautiful.
Has to end.
All the pilots, the shots of the pilots in the jets, passing the UFOs.
They're coming.
All of this is true.
That is cool. All of this is true. Yeah, this is so cool. It's interesting, this Roswell footage. Obviously, this was, I think, in the 40s, the Roswell incident, and it kind of looks like a lot of Steven's home videos on Super 8. I can't wait for those scenes. That's going to be really cool. Yeah, the story about me and Close Encounters and the box of porn. I can't believe I'm going to tell this story, but I'm essentially talking to myself, so it doesn't really matter.
See, here I'm now by myself, talking to myself. That's chaos theory.
And might as well just get it on record somewhere for the kids and for the legacy. I grew up primarily on military bases. In the late 80s, early 90s, I lived in a high secured base called Point Magoo, which is basically on the coast right beside Ventura and Oxnard, past Malibu. The base was interesting because military life is very different from civilian life, if you will, but living on the base really felt like we lived in suburbia. It was the same type of atmosphere, the same, families, everyone riding bikes, everything you see now in films that are kind of nostalgic these days. But to me, it's not nostalgia. It's how we grew up. I mean, it's in our DNA. But the base itself very much looked like a typical suburban neighborhood at that time. I don't know if it is now, but at that time it was divided up into 4 sections, and there were section 1, 2, 3, and 4. And the first section basically were all the officers lived and their families. Kind of, we called it the rich section. And then, you know, all the way down to the fourth section where I lived. And that's basically where all the petty officers, first, second, and third class lived. And, you know, we were kind of considered the poor kids. And again, section one, when we drove into section one, we always would get, you know, get stares. What are you doing here? You know, we had the bullies that would chase us out of the neighborhood and whatnot because, you know, we didn't belong there. But it was such a typical 80s, 90s atmosphere, just everyone in, you know, playing barbecues. It was just an interesting, amazing time to grow up. And what's fascinating about this base and how it was kind of structured, every morning we'd all have to stand attention. They would have reveille every morning. Once, you know, when the flag went up, everyone, cars, anyone walking, we all had to stop and salute or put our hands over our heart, similar to uh, the uh, the scene in Edward Scissorhands. There's a scene, I think, in the beginning where you'd see everyone, basically all the men, leaving their houses at the same time, getting in their cars. All the cars would leave at the same time, and they drove down the same road, went to work on the same road, came back home on the same road. And that's exactly how it was. So how it was kind of laid out, there was section 1, 2, 3, and 4. So you had, you know, the front gate, highly secured gate, and you had the 4 sections, and then you had a huge piece of desert, if you will, right in between the sections 1, 2, 3, and 4, where everyone lived, desert, and then you would have the hangars way out in the distance. It was essentially how you see Area 51 from a distance. That's how it looked. Same exact way. And so every morning you would see mainly all the men get in their cars and drive towards the hangars, you know, where everyone worked. And it was this just one stretch of long road that was adjacent to section 4. So every morning, me and my buddies, we would jump on our bikes and we would, you know, ride off towards to the NEX, the Navy Exchange. And every morning we would gather our whatever money we had and we'd go to the exchange to go buy, you know, the new GI Joe.
He'll fight for freedom wherever there's trouble. GI Joe is there. GI Joe.
It's a Cobra attack. Get the GI Joe hovercraft. Get the new Joes aboard.
And there were these sand dunes, small sand dunes. And what we would do is we would place the GI Joes on the sand dunes, set them up, have little battles. And we would take my buddy's VHS camera, big hunker of a camera. We would take it and we would put it right on eye line, and we would have the GI Joes essentially fighting. And in the background, you would have all the hangars, the actual hangars. And the cool part is, you know, it was an active military base, and it still is, I believe, but they would have something called touch and go. So every day you would have jets, F-16s, back in those days, Tomcats. They would fly down onto the runway, keep going, and then fly back up. So they would just practice our landing and takeoffs, and it would just be going all day. So again, we'd position the camera really low to the ground, have the GI Joes in the foreground fighting, and in the background you would see all the hangars and then the planes going, you know, landing and then taking off. And there was no YouTube back in those days, so we film it and go back home and we pop it into our VCR and we would watch it.
Go get him, cover girl.
G.I. Joe. American hero.
So long, Wolverine. Hurry, Clutch. Wolverine's in trouble.
And that's about it. I mean, that was kind of like our life, our military life. And that was kind of my first experience, if you will, with filmmaking, even though I didn't kind of see it as such. We were just, I mean, for us, just being kids, we wanted to record the cool things that we were doing and watch them on our TVs and then, go back out and play again. But where I first came across Close Encounters of the Third Kind, as I mentioned, section 1 essentially was all the rich kids. And every weekend there would be yard sales. And that was big for us because we would, take any money that we can find in our homes, quarters, dollars, anything that we did during the week to earn money. We would add it all up in a pot if you will, and we would go to section 1 because that's where all the, all the rich toys were. In our section there was just, vases, old bikes and whatnot, but section 1 had all the expensive toys. So we would always go there to see if we can, find whatever we can get for our little movies. Either would be like little, ramps because we skateboarded, anything really cool that we can get our hands on to either play with or film with. Anyway, so I remember we were riding our bikes one Saturday. I think it was Saturday or Sunday, whatever it was, and we passed this bully's house. He was very, very much known to all us lower class. He would take our, he would take our food. He would take our lunch money. Just be a total pain in our asses at school. We always, rode past his house, didn't even pay attention to it. But, anytime he spotted us, him and his friends would chase us out of section 1. But I remember going past his house one day, and he was sitting there with his mom. I think it was his mom, and they were sitting at the table, and my buddy and I, we were looking at each other like, what is he doing? Why is he sitting there with his mom? And the mom was very welcoming. And I think from what I remember, she was essentially selling his toys as punishment. And she actually waved us down, I think, and said, hey, come here and, come check out these toys. And so we went up to the table, and on the table, he had just, Nintendo games. He had, G.I. Joes. He had He-Man figures and all that. And he was just staring us down. I remember he was so pissed to see us. And the mom was very welcoming. She was like, nah, buy whatever you want. Buy whatever you want. And I remember we were really scared. But we were like, who cares? Let's just do it. I think it was like a sweet revenge to buy this guy's, toys, even though I know he was going to give us hell at school the next day. But we were like, forget it. Let's just do it. And I remember the mom had went back into the house either to get us change, or I don't know what happened, but she had walked back into the house, and he was sitting there just staring at us. And he said, look, I'm going to give you something if you don't buy my toys. And we were like, no, we're going to buy these toys. We're going to buy these toys from you. Sorry. And he's like, look, underneath this table is a box of VHS tapes. And we're like, what the heck are we going to do with VHS tapes? I mean, yeah, I guess we could have recorded them, recorded over them for our little movies, but we were like, no, we'd rather have the G.I. Joe toys. But he looked at us and he said, I remember specifically, he said, it's a box of my dad's porn. I'll give it to you for $5. It was like $5 or whatever he was offering. If you just take the tapes now before my mom comes back and leave my toys, I'll give you this box of porn. We took the box. We took the box of porn, or at least what we thought was porn. It's so we conjured up an idea that we were gonna go through these box of porn in the tent in my backyard late at night. We waited until my parents went to sleep. We pitched the tent in the far end of the the far opposite end of the yard, and we waited for them to go to sleep. And once they were asleep, it was probably like late at 11 at night or whatever, we went back into the house. We snuck out my little, 15-inch RCA TV, which I still have right here, 12-inch, whatever it is, and my VCR. And we put it in the tent. We set it all up on a crate, took an extension cord from the garage, hooked it up from the, an outside outlet, and just powered up the VCR and started just feeding this thing with all the tapes. And I remember a lot of the tapes in the box, a lot of them, some of them had covers, some didn't. Some had like, just even the labels on the front ripped off. So we had no clue, what tapes were the actual, the dad's porn. But we started popping each one in. And as we got to the end of this box, I think we were down to the last like 5 or whatever. We came to the conclusion that we were lied to. We were lied to. We were so bummed out, but we decided to just, let's just, maybe we'll get lucky. Maybe he forgot there was actually one in there. So we kept going. And I remember, I kid you not, it was one of the last tapes that we popped in. And I remember we pop it in, And the first image that came up on the TV was this woman who was holding her son, young son. She's, screaming in a kitchen. Pots are clanging, lights are beaming through the windows. I'm like, I don't even know what the heck this is. We were both scared. I was scared. And I'm watching this thing. I'm like, what the hell is this? And eventually the boy gets abducted, and, there's these puffy clouds, these milky puffy clouds. And I'm like, what?
Barry! Barry!
Anyway, cut to the next day. After school, I came home because this image, this scene that I had seen, that I had watched, was in my head throughout the entire day at school. I couldn't get it out of my head. I was so in awe by it, so mystified by it. I had no clue what it was. And at that time, I was a big cinephile, even at a young age. My mom and dad got divorced when I was around 7 years old. He lived in Downey in LA, and every weekend he would come and see me, and he would take me to a movie. And we had just seen Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. And it's one of my favorite films because, the father-son element of the story. And to this day, it's still me and my father's favorite film to watch together. And lo and behold, of course, I find out later it was directed by the same person. And so, which was fascinating to me. But anyway, I came home from school, popped it in, and I just sat in front of my TV watching this thing, and my jaw dropped, especially at the end where the dad leaves, played by Richard Dreyfuss. He leaves his family, and that to me really hit home because of my parents' divorce and the fact that I was only seeing my father on the weekends. I couldn't imagine him leaving me permanently. And that really stuck to me. Since that day, it's been in my DNA. And at that time, I didn't know what a director was, but I knew I wanted to be a filmmaker. I wanted to do something. I didn't know what it was, but I needed to be a part of that type of experience, that type of creation, to create, a story that lives within you and it doesn't go away. I mean, that's, especially to a young kid, that's very impactful. I'd seen so many movies, loved so many movies up to that point. Batman. I still have a picture of me wearing my Batman shirt, sitting on my bed in Point Magoo in my bedroom. It's sitting on my California Raisins sheets, and the Indiana Jones Last Crusade poster and the Batman poster behind me. Of all the films I've watched in the theater, none of them stuck to me like that. None of them stuck to me like that. And again, at such a young age, I couldn't get it out of my head, and I didn't want it out of my head. Years later, cut to years later, because of my admiration for Mr. Spielberg and wanting to get into filmmaking and directing, I eventually went from San Diego, where I ended up at another military base, but and met my wife to this day. We're high school sweethearts. I knew living in San Diego, I was never going to be able to become a filmmaker. And I knew I had to, at some point, leave to Los Angeles. And I have to go to LA and I have to make movies. Eventually, I ended up in Los Angeles and, attending a film school, which I will not name. My wife and I had visited when we were, in our teens, we'd visited Universal Studios, took the VIP tour. I can't even tell you how many times. Every time we would go to Universal Studios, I go directly to the tram ride. And, I think we would probably ride that thing 3 times in a day of the annoyance of my wife, but she would stick with me and we would ride it probably like 3 times in the one visit. And each time that I would, take the tram down on the lower lot, I would sit there and I would write down all the numbers that I can find on all the trucks. And when I got home, I would call all those numbers asking if there was a job available. And of course, they were all union jobs, so there was just no way that was going to happen. But I kept my hopes up. And eventually, I kind of noticed the security guards. And I was like, well, how come that never crossed my mind? So I ended up being a security guard and interestingly enough, worked at the lower lot for a couple of times. Mainly, I worked up at the City Walk area, but I was able to actually do 1 or 2 days on the lot. And come to find out, I actually had to guard one of the sound stages where they were filming War of the Worlds. So that was really cool, and that kept me, my dreams going. But it just wasn't enough. I had to be making movies. I had to be working with producers and writers. I just needed to be making films and telling stories. One thing I actually want to mention is that, when you first enter Universal Studios, on your far right next to the VIP tour is a bust of Alfred Hitchcock. And when I was a security guard at Universal, one of my first posts was to work the graveyard shift in the Universal Studios theme park. And my job was to open up each store so the janitors can clean. And, this job was from like midnight to, 4 in the morning. At the start of my shift, I would rub the head of Alfred Hitchcock, the bust, for luck. And, I'd ask Hitch, help me out, help me get a job on the lot, put a good word in for me. And so I started doing this when I first started visiting Universal Studios as a teen. And then when I eventually got the job as a security guard, I continued doing this each night that I worked graveyard shift. The bus used to be, a dark color, and now they painted it gold. So, a couple of years ago when I visited Universal again, I went and visited my old friend Hitch to say hi and gave him a good rub on the head. Love you, Hitch. My good luck charm. Cliff Notes version now. Jump a couple of years later, I ended up getting a job at the Shoah Foundation, which was started by Steven Spielberg after Schindler's List, where they collected over 60,000 Holocaust testimonies. And I ended up working there. And after that, made my way to Amblin. And I worked for Amblin DreamWorks for almost 18 years of my life. And the last 2 working for Mr. Spielberg's estate directly. So that took a lot of hard work and a lot of dreaming, but spent half my life working at Amblin, working at DreamWorks, watching Steven arrive every morning on the dot before everyone else. It was a huge inspiration to see him every day and to work on that lot every day and to eventually work for his estate for a few years. And it was the most amazing time of my life, honestly. I ended up having to leave to take care of a family member because family comes first. But I have no regrets, because family does come first. And I cherish all that time that I've had at Amblin and Stevens Estate. I cherish all those experiences in my heart forever. And now I found my way on YouTube. I don't know what I'm going to do with this. I love playing video games. I probably should have started this as a side hustle years ago while I was working on the lot. But yeah, even though my kids were telling me to do so, I didn't listen. Where this is going to go, I have no clue. I have zero clue. Hopefully I find my way back behind the camera. I was able to film one feature and as well as a 10-year documentary called Code 20, where I followed stringers each and every night. In between, I'd wake up early in the morning, go to Amblin, go to work. Very, very tough job that I had there. And, working in the industry is not easy, but I would go to work and then come home, take a shower, eat, and go follow stringers all night in the most dangerous areas in Los Angeles, and then go back to work the next day for Mr. Spielberg. So it was, again, a very interesting time in my life, and I hope one day I get to go back behind the camera and continue my filmmaking journey. But for now, I'm on another journey, a journey that I love, and I get to be with my family every day, so I can't complain at all. So yeah, we'll see where life brings me. Thanks for watching my channel. Thanks for listening to my very long story. I hope you get something out of it. Hopefully some inspiration out of it. I did wear my Amblin hat for the special occasion, and actually pulled out my, I shouldn't have this, but I do, my original DreamWorks badge. And I'll leave you with a little tune from, of course, Close Encounters. The 40th edition. The director's cut is the way to watch. Follow those dreams. Follow those dreams, no matter where they lead. Never stop dreaming. Never stop believing in yourself. Thank you for hearing my story. See you on the next one. Peace.
The only way to know your purpose is to go back to where it all began.
I know you.
I know you do. What happened to us?
I used to say to myself, wouldn't it be wonderful if all of this turned out to be true? I'm now thinking, wouldn't it be wonderful for people to know
They're coming.
all of this is true?
Disclosure Day.
You cannot afford to fail.
Oh, don't you worry about me failing, Mother. I'm just sure everything's gonna come out great.
Oh, yeah.